Hello, everybody, and welcome again to a very special episode because it's a new era for Elite City and the Elite City podcast. So, what's up, Rick? How are
Not
things
much.
going?
Not good. I feel like I never ask you how you're doing. You always do an intro and you ask me how I'm doing, and then I always just like go off on a rant. And
Well,
I never ask about you. How are you doing?
better than I was yesterday.
Yeah.
So, yeah, got a little of the food poisoning. I'm pretty sure that's what I had, and it sucked. But we're better. Way a little less now, but other than
I
that.
I still feel very bad that pizza would betray you like that.
It totally did, and I had to make amends. I went outside and burned the ashes of the leftovers that I knew was tainted, and I had to.
Segue, was it Luigi Primo's pizza?
Yes, wink, wink. Um,
Not that
yes,
he
it
would
was.
do anything to make anyone sick, of course. There's no way he would do
No,
he would never do such a thing.
no.
Of course not.
But I mean, there has to be some safety violations throwing that dough around in an open building like that. I should have known.
Of course.
You know.
It was actually your mistake.
Yes, it was. It was my fault. He threw the dough around, and then I ordered the pizza like 3 days later, so it couldn't have been fresh. So I guess it was all on me.
It was, yeah, you were kind of asking for it.
Yeah. So, anyways, just real quick, a little housekeeping here. Mr. Brown, you are to report to my sister's room tomorrow and give her an oh hell yeah. So, anyways, new era for AEW, Rick.
Yes. It seemed very new. It actually did seem a little new, but I know that was because of a hurricane. Like that wasn't actually the plan.
Yes.
But yeah, the show was a little different because, as far as I can tell, a lot of people weren't there.
Yes.
But it was good. It was different, but it was good. And it started off with a long promo that I'm sure upset a lot of people, but I thought it was good.
Oh, of course it did. Well, I think the rumor going around is they had like roughly, I think they said 20 to 30 people, maybe give or take, maybe more, maybe less. So I feel for what they did, they pulled off two fantastic shows with very limited people.
I agree. And I know that meant some of their segments were a bit longer than they probably planned them to be.
Exactly.
But it seemed fine. It wasn't the absolute greatest episodes, but I mean, there was nothing wrong with them. I was entertained the whole time. I enjoyed them.
Yeah. So we come swinging out of the gate with the JAS celebration of Mr. Ocho. Almost called him Ucho. Wow. Mr. Ocho with his 8th title, Chris Jericho. They had the velvet jumpsuits on, or not jumpsuits, the velvet suits.
Yes, purple velvet.
Incredible. Purple velvet. Incredible.
They looked very comfortable.
They did look very comfortable, and I think Evil Uno got a little. He said he might have to talk to his lawyers. He said that was a little close to Dark Order. It's purple.
Yeah, it's pretty much their gimmick. They're stealing their gimmicks now.
Well, speaking of gimmicks, the greatest gimmick ever was in the ring for the JS celebration. Luigi Primo. If you want a good laugh, just go on to YouTube and look up Luigi Primo. He is Italian Danhausen, basically. I mean, you just like him. He's hilarious.
I absolutely love that people got mad. I saw people being like, people were like, oh, they hire wrestlers and they give time to Luigi Primo. They're not giving time to FTR. I'm like, Luigi Primo was on TV for a minute.
Yes. And then the next 17 on his face.
Right. He wasn't taking time away from anyone. They would have had the exact thing. Jericho mentioned him and he was on the screen for like 30 seconds or a minute, and then they moved on. And whether or not he was there, he's not taking time from any. So like, if that's your thing to get mad at this week, like, go outside. Like, it's the weather's nice. Come on.
And that was another reason why he was probably there. Like, there weren't that many people to go around. He
Right.
lives in Philadelphia. Give the guy a few $100s. He's going to show up and make people cheer. I mean,
Yeah.
it's simple. Like this week's Dark and Elevations, every other match was former Ring of Honor people that they were getting them making their AEW debut because they all lived in Philly. They
Right.
couldn't fill like 5 hours of TV this week.
Right.
So yeah, so Luigi Primo being on TV for 9 seconds is you're fine. And 9 times out of 10, that's about all the longer his matches are too. So
yeah, like honestly, even if you absolutely hate him, he's not on much, so it's fine.
Exactly.
Like,
Yes. Yes. Cool Hand Ange addresses the AEW Galaxy, and Tony Khan. I know, friend of the show, Tony Khan.
yes,
Why is this not on a T-shirt yet?
AEW Galaxy appreciate me.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I love that. And I love because it makes a lot of like Roman Reigns fans enraged.
Yes.
And it's like I see people being like, "Oh, they're ripping them off." No, they're being stupid. Like
yes.
They're telling a joke. It's supposed to be dumb.
Exactly. And it needs to be on a T-shirt.
It does. I would like that shirt. It's a good shirt.
It's a fantastic shirt. And it's a little wink and a nod, like you said, but you also know if you see that person out, you're like, oh, okay, that dude's cool.
Yeah.
He knows what's up. Leave it to Philadelphia. They're smart wrestling fans. They just start the "We Want Pizza" chant. Thought it was great.
The fact that Jericho immediately was like, "Well, you can't have any." Like he plays off the crowd like perfectly.
Ultimate pro.
That he could take something silly like them chanting for and like make it a heel thing for him. Like it was really good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, he turned that into getting heat. Like it was amazing.
And did you notice Ty Mello? Like I think she just ate an entire slice. Like she was eating the whole time. Like I think everyone else was kind of just holding slices of pizza just like as a prop. But she's just like eating. It was. I would do it. Like if they gave me free pizza, like I'm eating it.
I want to know what they did with all that. They probably just went backstage in catering, but that'd been cool if they would have handed their. Well, there's probably safety issues.
Right.
Probably not allowed to just hand out.
Give strangers pizza that's been sitting in a ring for 20 minutes.
Yeah, there's probably some sort of rule of that. I thought it was very cool of Jericho he put over Bandito. Like,
yes.
That's. It was very un-Jericho-like, but I liked it. It was cool.
Yeah, it's what I mentioned, I think last week or a couple weeks ago. I think it was Mick Foley who said it, that it only helps you to put over your opponent, especially if you're going to win, but even if you're going to lose, it always helps you to put over your opponent because it makes them better. And then if you beat them, it makes you even better.
Right. Exactly. I mean, that makes perfect sense. Well, because look at a squash match. Like, okay, it's over. Yay. You really don't care about it. You're not invested in it.
Right.
You know it's going to happen.
Right.
So, yeah, I understand. Perfect. It makes perfect sense. Are we slowly seeing a natural Garcia face turn, or do you think it's a ruse?
I have my theory that it's a ruse. I think he's pretending. He's going to join Bryan Danielson. He's going to be on his and then he's going to turn on him. I think that's what's happening.
I also agree with you. And what a perfect segment, because I mean, it's the anniversary show. Jericho will be in the ring. It'll be like this big spectacle. Like they'll make it a spectacle. So that's what I think is going to happen.
I mean, it could go the other way, but I think he's going to turn on him.
Yeah. I mean, that was just too much. Like I liked your theory where he was going to just do his own thing. But then he pulled the 180 last week though.
Yeah. The fact that he went so immediately to, I'm going to team with him makes me think, oh, he's turning on him.
Yeah. But we will see. Well, of course, Jericho asks again to get the crowd involved. Perfect moment. He asks Garcia if he's a wrestler and a trainer. Right. The crowd answers. Danielson then interrupts, and we almost forgot. Garcia didn't accept the new hat.
Yes. How could you not accept such a beautiful hat?
I know. It's a solid bucket hat. He did not accept the purple bucket hat, but give it to 2.0. Daddy Magic jumps in, starts cutting a promo. and then Danielson challenges Daddy Magic right here, right now. I loved that. We haven't seen that in so long.
Yeah, I thought that was good, and I know it's a Sports Center. It's like a '90s. I don't know.
Yes.
I don't think WWE still does that to this day.
That's what
But
I mean. I haven't seen it in years. Like,
yeah, the format of an opening promo leading to someone coming out and then challenging you to a match, like that was something that happened all the time.
Yes.
20 years ago. And I like it. I think it's 20 years ago wasn't even the 90s. Okay.
I was just, yes.
25 years ago.
Yeah.
But I like that they did it here. If they do it every week, obviously, like happened a long time ago, that gets too much. But the fact that they did it this time, I liked it. Yeah. So I'm still reeling over the fact that 20 years ago was still 2002. Yes. It's very. Yeah, I'm gonna have to take a moment.
It's nuts. It's crazy to think about. Like, yeah. Well, so yeah. So we right into it. We had Danny
Magic.
Yeah. Danielson versus Daddy Magic, Matt Menard. I'm going to give Matt Menard credit. I'm no longer going to say Daddy Magic. There's too many D's here.
Yes.
I didn't realize he was this much of a technical wrestler.
I didn't know much about, like, I've seen him in the ring, obviously, but I didn't know much about his like wrestling background or ability. Or I just thought he was a good character, and he's good in the ring, but yeah, he's more technical than I thought he was. Also, he's wrestling Bryan Danielson. Like I said before, exactly. I'm pretty sure I could wrestle Bryan Danielson, and it would be fine. I have no athletic ability whatsoever, and he could probably make me look reasonable. So
yes, 100%. But I've been meaning to say this for weeks. Matt Menard could literally be a wrestler in any promotion in any year with the way that he delivers his promos.
That's true. I agree. Yeah, that's really true.
Like, literally, you could put him in the 70s because that's how all the guys talked. You could put him in the 80s and he's over the top, and in the 90s he would have swore a little more. I mean,
right? Yeah, it would work. It would work in any era. That's true.
It's a great character.
I like that they're giving them more. I wish I've said it a million times. I wish the stuff that goes on the Road to shows would be on TV, because
yes,
they've been cutting some incredible promos there. So it was nice that he got to do a little bit on Dynamite.
It was, and he knocked everything out of the park. And also Big Show this week, he put over, well, he's not Big Show anymore, Paul White put over Road to. He said, make sure you check into Road to.
Oh, good.
Which it's probably up. I haven't watched it yet.
It's a good show.
It's a great show. It's the best setup to the AEW week.
Yes, for sure.
I mean,
and it follows a really good line of, like, it's for, insider fans who know about what's happening, and it keeps kayfabe. It follows the storylines. It is real, but it's still in storyline. Like, it's perfect.
Yeah. Well, that's why I have the random theory that I think that's why all the blogs that wrestlers had, I think that's why there are no more backstage stuff. I think, they produce a show like Road to, which is showing, like, I don't know, just say Eddie Kingston yelling at Ortiz, and then on Sammy's blog they're eating lunch together.
Right. Yeah. Even stuff like BTE, which is like kind of storyline, kind of not. It's still, like, I like it, but it's still, you get to see, like, oh, these guys are actually friends, which if you're doing it in storyline, they're not supposed to be.
Yeah, and if you notice, since they've been suspended, for some reason, Brandon Cutler, apparently his suspension, he's not allowed to use his phone or his camera to record stuff, because there also hasn't been any of those.
Like, I do think you're probably right that they probably put at least a temporary freeze to all the backstage things on social media.
Because if they're going to push this social media, like, let these leaks out, like, oh, there's trouble and there's this, or these guys are fighting. Again, you can't have people filming backstage all the time and then people being like, well, wait a minute, well, I watched all the blogs this week and nobody was yelling at each other.
Right. Like, why isn't Andrade fighting Sammy? He could have.
Yeah.
He had an opportunity. Why is he yelling at him on Twitter? Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, back to the match. That was a little minor rant. We're going to get into bigger ones later.
Oh, we've got so much.
So much to talk about. Matt Menard, he was in control during the break, and I like these little interactions that me and you have here because again, I don't get to hear what's going on. Were the announcers putting Menard over, or were they just kind of
Yeah, I think they were kind of just
bantering?
they were bantering amongst each other
Oh,
at this
okay.
time. They do a lot of like off, like in character, but
Oh, okay.
less serious stuff during the breaks a lot of the time. So it's fun. Like I like it.
That's
Was
cool.
was Regal on commentary there?
Um, I didn't write it down, so I
It
don't
might have been
know.
during the Mox match. He had some good lines with Excalibur, but it might have been during the Jon Moxley match instead.
Yeah, well, I'll get there instead of
Because he did have some
Jericho.
pretty fun. He had some pretty fun
Oh,
lines.
he had some really good lines when I was reading on Twitter. um, I thought it was really cool after the break. Danielson did his he normally does like the one leg lariat in the corner, but he did three this time. And then whenever Cool Hand Ange tried to make it little shenanigans, Claudio just picked him up and carried him away. I thought that was the greatest thing. It was like he didn't even fight. Like he just literally picked him. I was like, nope, just
Yeah.
walked away. Fantastic. Danielson gets the clean win, of course, but 2.0 literally. I'm not trying to say anything funny here. Literally since All In, they've been on a run.
Yeah.
Like
I was even thinking, could they be going up against the Acclaimed sometime soon? I would like to see that.
I would. That would be yes.
Just like the promos and the interactions between them would be really funny and really entertaining.
Let's do it. But see, it always seems like, and again, this could be part of the stories. And every tag team that gets associated with Jericho for some reason always stays at the bottom of the.
That's true. Yeah, that might be the point. Like
exactly.
He's taking over, sort of. He doesn't give them reign to succeed. Yeah.
Or like I was thinking at it more from a business perspective, but your way makes more sense. I was saying that they don't need to be in the rankings because they're literally on TV every week.
Right. That's also true.
Behind Jericho.
So, that's also true.
But you could play it your way too and make it a storyline thing. It's great. That's
what happened with Santana and Ortiz.
Ortiz. Yeah. So yeah. MJF in ring calls out Wheeler Yuta. Excuse me, I said that backward. Wheeler Yuta calls out MJF.
Right.
So I said that backwards. Wheeler says he's not just a talker. Wheeler says that MJF is only a talker, not a fighter. Man, I can't read my own handwriting. And of course, MJF responds. And again, MJF put over Wheeler Yuta. I was very surprised at this.
Yeah.
I like this. If this is a new trend, let's keep it up.
The new MJF, since he's come back, he's strayed a little bit into the making fun of sports teams, insulting the city thing. That's pretty cheap heat, which I get why they do it, but it's pretty cheap heat. He strayed a little bit more into that this week, but since he's come back, he's had a lot more focus in his promos, and he's built up the situation that he's in more than just like making fun of people's families. And like his promos have been, I think you could tell he's been working on them. He's developed them more. He's trying to go beyond the, I'm just gonna, make fun of your sports team and call your mom something. And then like he does a little bit more now, and it's working.
It is. And I don't want to say it's, because I don't think it's quite there yet. I don't want to say we're at MJF 2.0 yet, but
no,
we're pretty close.
Yeah, it's different. It's different from before.
Yeah. But then again, the next line out of his mouth after he puts over Wheeler saying they've wrestled 1,000,000 times all over the country, blah, blah, blah. He just went and told everybody that he had a lot of money. I thought it was great.
Yeah, he did kind of stray back into the old MJF a little bit in this promo, which was fine. Like,
it was so good because shut up, I'm so rich, I don't have to put up with this. It was great. It was,
and even like Wheeler Yuta, like obviously he's not MJF on the mic, but I like that I think you said this last week, I like that they give them time on the mic, because otherwise they're never going to get better. Like someone like we've said 1,000,000 times, oh, Claudio cut a promo. I've never seen it. I didn't even know he could cut promos, because no one ever gave him a chance. Right. Exactly. So like, even if someone isn't particularly great at promos, I think you give them a little bit of time. And if you've given them, 4 or 5 times and they're absolutely terrible, then yeah, stop giving them promos for a while until they get a little better at it. But giving them the time is how they get better.
Exactly. And I mean, AEW is really pushing the manager situation too. So, get yourself a manager. If you can't talk or don't take that personally, just be like, hey, just we like what you're doing in the ring.
And this was a friendly setting for Wheeler Yuta because he's from Philadelphia, and like he was going to get a good reception there, so it was a good time 100%. To give him a promo.
I was a little surprised. We had the Ass Boys come out to kind of help MJF a little bit,
right?
Which I like that the firm is just randomly, sending people. Like last week, it was the heavy hitter. We had W. Morrissey, just his name. Good look, good gimmick. It's the name stuff.
The W is unnecessary.
Yes, but then again, like I said, there might have a problem with the artist Morrissey.
Right.
So, anyways, and then this week we have the Ass Boys who are apparently calling themselves the Top Guns. I don't see the legality in that.
Yeah.
I mean, they put an S on it, but it's basically the same thing as the movie. But
yeah.
Hey, let's do it. It's really cool, and it kind of makes fun of FTR with their top guys.
So. Yeah, I think that's why they're doing it, and
absolutely.
I think it's gonna. It's a little weird that FTR is in it. Again, I'm going on a tangent. It's a little weird that FTR is going to end up in a feud with the Gun Club or the Top Guns or the Ass Boys or whoever they are.
Yeah, whoever they are.
It's a little weird that that's the feud they're going to get into next. But I thought it was really weird that the Ass Boys were with the Acclaimed, and that worked out wonderfully. So let's see what happens.
And I mean, of course, they're always going to get the Ass Boy chant, but if them playing heels, like they're already, people don't even already realize that they're over.
Right.
Because you're just going to yell that at them and they don't care. Like their job's even easier.
I wonder if they like cut Danhausen a check or something for coming up with that, because
they had to.
Because no one really cared about them until he called them the Ass Boys, and now everyone like talks about them all the time.
I mean, he basically like
he gave them a gimmick,
Billy, and even Billy Gunn. Like no one cared that their dad was managing them, and he turns him into Bill Ass.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
Yeah, just everyone should just give Danhausen like a cut of their T-shirt sales or something, just for like.
I know. I mean, even the song was incredible. If you haven't listened to the Ass Boys song, please, it's just hilarious.
Tony Khan just needs to get him his blimp,
and it does need to happen just once.
Yeah, look how much he's done for you. Get him a blimp.
Exactly.
You have unlimited money. Just get him a blimp.
But yeah, like how much could it? I mean, he owns a football team. Like
right. I don't know how much a blimp costs, but Tony Khan can afford it.
He doesn't have to buy it. He can probably rent it.
No, you can rent a blimp for like a day. I'm sure you can.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, he has contacts in the NFL. They have a Goodyear blimp. Like
he can rent that. Just like
that would be even sicker. Danhausen on the Goodyear blimp. That'd be amazing. You'd have to get RJ City involved too, just so he'd be disappointed that Danhausen actually got the blimp. And he'd be like, look what I got.
They could do a lot with that. It'd be really funny.
Oh, it'd be hilarious. So good. We did learn that Darby is going to face Jay Lethal, and I think I texted you. This is something I didn't know that I wanted to see. Now I have to see it.
Yeah. Jay Lethal's gotten himself in a really good role of like, he's never going to be like world champion, but he's a good upper card guy who, if you beat him, it still looks impressive.
Yeah.
And he can kind of lose and it doesn't really matter. Like he's in a position where like he's going to be entertaining on TV, whether or not he wins or loses, and he'll win enough matches that he stays in that position. He's in a good spot.
It is. I never looked at it. That's a fantastic spot. And with him, Sanjay, and Satnam Singh, like it's getting Satnam TV exposure,
right,
without exposing him.
Oh, like, Satnam Singh's gonna throw Darby off something, isn't he?
That's what I was just gonna say.
He's almost definitely gonna throw Darby off something.
Yes, he has to, because I mean, that's what he's been doing. So
Yeah.
And it's just getting him TV time and more
Right.
exposure. So let's go. A world title eliminator that the internet got mad about.
Shockingly.
Yes, they could sit there and tweet about Juice Robinson all day, but not like Google or go on YouTube and use their search bar and look up who he was. I mean, or watch Road to. They told you who he was on. He cut like a 10-minute promo.
Didn't they put a segment on Dynamite?
Yeah, at the very beginning.
Yeah, they aired the little clip from Road to, like a minute long
from Road to,
a minute long thing. Like they put it on Dynamite. I kind of get if you're like, oh, why did he get a title eliminator match? But they even explain that he was in a match where he beat Jon Moxley. Yes. Like he didn't pin Jon Moxley, but he was the winner of the match.
Exactly.
That's something that I have a rant for later, but it was unnecessary to be upset about this.
It was, and it's only an eliminator match. Like, if Mox would have lost, he doesn't even lose the belt. He just Robinson gets a title shot. So It's a win-win for everybody. Anyways, you were correct on Regal. He was on commentary.
Yes.
I liked the fast start, the attack the champion before the bell rings.
Yeah, that was cool. I like that when he threw Mox into the guardrail. And then I think the camera was supposed to pan away to show him like doing something, but it didn't. It stayed on Moxie for a second. Yes. And you saw Moxie like slowly unzip his hoodie.
Yeah.
Like he was beaten up so badly he could barely move, but he's like, I'm going to take off my hoodie because it may get in my way later in the match.
Yes, it was wonderful. Taz and Regal kept announcing that Juice Robinson was a free agent. So I think that's a little foreshadowing.
Yes, I've heard disputed reports on that. Some people say he re-signed because his contract with New Japan did run out. Yes. And some people say he's re-signed. Some people say he hasn't. And it could be that he has re-signed with New Japan, but he's also, free. Like he's signed to work with them could be he's signed to work with them in Japan. But if he's in North America, he can work for AEW. Yeah. Apparently AEW wants to hire him, which makes sense. He's not only a good wrestler, but he's married to Tony Storm.
Yes. Which I didn't know until I think during the match because I Googled him.
Right.
I knew who he was.
But... You can't Google a wrestler and find out more about them. That's not how this works.
Yeah.
Unless you're specifically told everything about them on that episode.
Exactly.
You can't find out. And they even do tell you. Excalibur does tell you. He tells you everything you'll ever need to know.
In like 9 seconds.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Which led to, I think it was in commercial, but it led to a really good William Regal line where Excalibur, how he runs over the card really quick?
Yes.
He was running over the card really fast, stuff that was coming up next. And Tony Schiavone said, well, that's a mouthful. And William Regal just started like laughing, being like, oh, is it?
Oh, it's incredible. It is so incredible.
And then they all started laughing. And Regal's just like, we have to stop. It was great.
Now, I'm glad you brought up the during the break, because again, I was in picture. I missed, how did Mox get busted open? When they came back,
I don't think anyone knew. I think he went out of the ring and he came back bleeding.
Oh, what a surprise. When Juice Robinson went through the chair.
Yeah.
Again, people could say they're gimmicked all they want. Even if it is, he jumped off something, went through it and landed flat on his back about 3 feet lower. That has to hurt.
Right.
I loved they made Juice look very strong. They gave him a lot of false finishes, which I thought was really cool. Mox gets the clean win. And then Hangman comes down.
Yes.
Now, what was your, like, obviously it had to happen. Like they needed some build up, but would you have rather them had like a supervised interview, or like did you like the impromptu-ness?
I like the impromptu-ness. I would have liked a little bit more happening, like Hangman to cut a promo on him or Moxie to cut a promo on him or something. I love that Hangman came out. I thought that was really cool because not only are they hyping up a match, but Hangman has kind of been not pushed to the side, but he hasn't been in the main event as much as he was, obviously, and he was champion. And I like that not only is he showing like he wants to win the title again, but he's kind of showing that he has the confidence to come out there and confront Jon Moxley, where he hasn't always had that in character, of course. He hasn't always had that confidence to come out and like stand face to face with the guy who's the big guy. But now he's willing to do it. I like that. I liked it. I thought it was cool.
And MJF interrupting from the skybox, amazing.
Yeah.
But the best part was when Yuta shows up behind him.
Yeah. When he threw him into the crowd, those were just like regular fans, I think.
Yes.
I think they weren't like planted guys. They were just like guys who were sitting there.
Well, I think I even texted you, like, I didn't realize security had come in. And when Yuta pushed the one guy off, I was like, oh my God, did you just hit a fan? Like, because it was like chaos immediately.
Because he pushed him into the seats. And then I think he like legitimately fell on top of a fan.
It was unreal.
It was cool. Like, I liked it. And as long as no one got hurt, like, go for it. But yeah, it was cool. And it made it really hyped up their match for next week. So for this week, I guess. So yeah,
it made Yuta look very strong. Now I'm just going to throw this out into the universe here. I definitely think MJF wins the match.
Yeah,
but it's going to be because of someone from the firm.
Yeah, I think shenanigans definitely. I think that they're
there's no way, because I mean they're going to make Yuta look really good.
Yeah,
but he's not going to win.
No, he's not going to win. And I think it's going to be, there's been a couple times, MJF doesn't wrestle very often, so I forget that he's actually a very good wrestler.
Yes.
when I think of MJF, I just think of his character and his promos and whatever. I don't think of his wrestling, but he's had a couple matches like against Darby and a few other matches that have been like, he's actually very, very good in the ring. Yes, so I think this is going to be a really good match. And you're going to put over Yuta hugely.
Yes.
Is hugely a word? Hugely is a word. Yeah.
Hugely, yes. And it's going to be the next step. I mean, Yuta has already had the Ring of Honor Pure title. So, does this elevate him to, we still don't know if we're going to get a, I forget what the ring is called.
Dynamite Diamond Ring. Yeah. When do they usually do that?
In October. So
okay.
Maybe we'll hear about it tomorrow. Maybe because the only person that has ever won it has been MJF. Nobody else has ever won it.
The last time he won it was December 21st.
Oh, okay. So they do it in the fall.
They do it in the fall or the winter. Like they move. It's not a set date. So
okay. So by the end of the year, we should know. So maybe that'd be something good for you to win.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see him
because whenever MJF doesn't win the diamond, it's going to be a big deal. So
exactly. And you get it for an entire year. Like you can only lose it at that tournament.
Right.
So, but here's the other thing. Now, do you think they put him immediately into like the TNT title?
Yeah, it's a little strange because everyone knows AEW has a lot of titles when you count the ROH titles and everything. They have a lot of belts to go around. Right. But they seem to not have a lot of belts that people can actually go for. Like it's I don't know if that makes any sense. Like it's strange.
I totally agree.
Like for someone who's not world title level, but not like opening card, like they have a lot of titles in there, but they're not titles that people actually like. They're not defined as like what they are. It's a little strange. And Wardlow having the TNT title, I will talk about this later. This part of this stuff I'm going to talk about at the end. But Wardlow having the TNT title is a bit of a not an issue, but you don't want him to lose. So that it kind of seems like the title doesn't exist at this point because it's not something people are going for. It's a little odd.
I agree. And I think what they need to do with the TNT title is not change anything with it. They just have to go back to the lineage. Literally talk about Cody, talk about Brody Lee. Those guys put their stamp on that title.
And they do need to go back to having matches regularly for it. Like since Wardlow's won it, they haven't had regular matches for it. And they should.
Even if they want to keep it an open title, you don't have to have drawn out storylines.
Right.
Like, Wardlow just shows up every week and there's an envelope with a guy's name in it. Like, okay, he shows up in the ring and then the music hits. Like, that'd be awesome.
And I think AEW kind of needs, and it's maybe that's what they use ROH for. AEW kind of needs like a a wrestler's title. You know how like the Intercontinental title was in like the 80s and 90s, where it was like it's not the top star, but it's the guy who can do a 30-minute match, right?
Right.
And I mean, I like Wardlow. I love Wardlow, but he's not that guy. So the TNT title isn't really in that spot right now. It's not the wrestler's title. Maybe it was, but it's not right now.
Right. Agreed.
And the world title is the world title, so it's different. They haven't defined any of the titles as like, the work rate title, unless that, I guess, if that's what ROH is going to be.
That could be too. That's a great point. I'm going to get myself a drink here real quick. So
there is like a direction. I'm not trying to insult AEW, though. There is sort of like a directionlessness to the mid card, like the upper mid card, the mid card, like the guys who are in the middle who aren't world champions. Like the world champions always have stories. They're always on TV.
Yes.
But like the mid card guys, upper mid card guys, they don't really have much going on right now, and I think they really could. So it's tough to see what they do with Wheeler Yuta. Like, where do they put him?
Agreed.
Because he's not world title. Like, he's not going to challenge for the world title. No, I'm not saying he should. He might one day, but he's not there now.
Exactly.
But where he's going to be, I don't know.
And you hit the nail on the head perfectly with if you're in the upper mid card, you're in the gray area in AEW. Which it's not a bad thing. There's guys are putting on good matches, but you are basically in no man's land.
Right. Like even like the lower mid card, like the new up and coming guys, they always make sure to showcase like the really young talent, the new young talent. They get a lot of showcases, but the guys who are just above that level, like the Sammy Guevara's and even Darby Allin, and like they're kind of just like there right now.
Yeah. Well, it looks like Sammy and Andrade are starting programs. So.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, Sammy has a title from AAA. So
yeah,
like Andrade wrestles in AAA too. So it's that we can see a lot of very interesting things here coming up.
Yes.
But we had Saraya in the ring. She gets her first in ring in AEW. Gets the welcome back chant. Says she's the revolution. Great line.
Yes.
Great line. The "This is your house" chant, was that a WWE thing?
I don't know about the chant. She said "This is my house" in WWE.
Oh,
okay. I don't know if anyone chanted that at her, but she used that line. Yeah.
Now, this is the part of the show that I mean, obviously this is already written, and this is the part of the show that I think the Hurricane ruined. Like, she called the babyface girls out, and there was only like 4 of them.
Yeah, and I think they stretched it out longer too, because they were like that. They probably scheduled her to have like a 5-minute, 8-minute promo, and they're like, let's make it 20 because we don't have anything else to do. Like, yeah,
right.
And I have a lot to say about this promo in many different areas.
And I thought it was really cool when she also said the Tony Storm is finally being utilized.
Yes.
And then again, when Britt brought the heel ladies down, and there was like 5.
It was the people who normally come with her plus like 1 extra person.
Plus Serena Deeb. Yeah, it was her group plus Serena Deeb.
Yeah.
And again, I know it was all the Hurricane, but this could have been, they could have pulled the girls from Dark and Elevation. Like, if those girls were there, they could have had like 30 people.
I get what they were going for, but it didn't.
Exactly.
Yeah. I like that Willow Nightingale was on TV though. Whenever she's on TV, I'm happy.
Yes. And she has a match this week too.
Yeah.
So, all in all, I thought it was a good promo, a nice introduction.
Yeah. People got mad at a lot of stuff about it.
Really?
They got mad at this. Yeah. People were mad at the sports entertainment aspect of it, which whatever. First of all, it's a sports entertainment show. Like not every. Oh, I have so much to say. Not every show is like match. Nobody wants that. Like that's not wrestling. There's always been promos. Every company's had promos. Maybe this one was longer, but yeah, there was a Hurricane. So like, what did you expect? People always want, including myself, want more time for women. Like they got time, and all of them got on TV. And yeah, maybe it wasn't the greatest promo ever, but remember when Serena Deeb and Thunder Rosa had their promo, and it was kind of not great. Like it was a bit sloppy. Like I liked the storyline that they were going, but they don't get much promo time, so they're not that experienced. That's fine. But whenever they do a promo segment with the women like this, people complain and then they don't do it again. And it's annoying because that's how the division grows. Like they can't
100%.
No one wants them to have just a one match a week. They want them to have more storylines going on. They want them to have more things to do. They want not just the champion versus the challenger. They want other storylines happening amongst the rest of the roster. And that's how you get that sort of stuff. So whether or not it was, MJF calling out The Rock, like it was not, but it was a good usage of time. I feel it was setting them up somewhere.
Oh, it was wonderful.
It was one thing that was a little weird is she explained it. She made a match or made it into a lumberjack match. And my first thought was, she was the GM on SmackDown. So is she the GM here? Like they haven't really explained that.
Right. I like that.
But she did say, which people also got mad at, that like, I have a boss who listens to me. So we did this. People were mad being like, why is she attacking WWE? Like they listened to her. They treated her well. I'm like, it's wrestling. This is what anyone who leaves up until recent times, this is what anyone who leaves the company has done when they got to the other company. Like they cut a promo and they mention how the other place sucked and this place is great. Like that's what they do. That's what every wrestler has ever done.
And I'm just going to add, like, you're 1000% right. And also, like, were you there with her? Like, do you know how they treated her, or do you just assume because you read something on Twitter?
But but even if they did treat her well, even if they treated her wonderfully and she had a great experience there, like she's now in AEW and she can get people to like her more by bashing the other company. Like, of course, like it's easy. Why would she not do that?
And she would lose her job if she was like, I don't know why I'm here. WWE was awesome.
Oh yeah, they were so nice to me. I loved it. It was great there. It's too bad that they didn't re-sign me because I had such a great time.
I was never left. Like
this place sucks in comparison. Like,
I'm in the circus now.
She's never going to do that. And
never.
you have to kind of mention it because everyone knows who she is, right? Like she didn't show up out of nowhere.
Right.
She's known for being in WWE. So if she's not mentioning it at all, like if you got a new job and just never talked about your old job ever again, people would be like, wow, what happened at that job that you like never want to speak about it. Right. So of course you're going to mention it. But what bugged me about this, two things. One, Tony Khan tweeted something that was just like, I know we had a lot of in-it promo segments this week, but it was to set up things happening next time. Next time episode we'll have a lot more wrestling. Don't do that. Like he's reading what people said on Twitter and taking it personally. Don't. Like you don't need to apologize for how you booked your show. Like that's ridiculous. Don't do that.
Yeah, you're totally right.
And then I saw she responded, and I saw like some blog, I forget what it was, being like, Saraya answers or responds to feedback or responds to what happened on Dynamite. Like she doesn't have to respond. Nobody has. Nothing happened. It was a promo. No one has to respond. No one has to explain. No one has to it was a promo segment that maybe went a little long. That's it. Like, and we're at this time where like everyone has to watch the show, and like we do it too. Obviously, we have a podcast that talks about the show,
right?
But everyone has to watch the show and critique every single thing that happens, which is fine. That's what you do. But the wrestlers and the management, they shouldn't be responding to individual complaints. Like if people are still watching the show, like if people stop watching your show, yes, realize, the fans aren't liking what I'm doing.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
But individual segments and individual stuff, like move on. It was one segment on a show. Like, come on.
And like you said, I mean, this probably the whole front end of this was probably supposed to be 3 minutes.
Right.
And they were like, hey, can you make that go at least 10? And then a full match. I mean, it was great that they were on TV for 25 minutes.
Right.
But the first part, I understand why it lost people.
Yeah.
But again, wasn't their fault. It probably wasn't supposed to be that long.
It wasn't their fault. And you'd rather have this on than someone who's, I'd rather have this on than like a promo from someone we've seen do a promo a million times. Like I'd rather see new people get a chance to do something.
And I mean, it shows you what kind of pro Saraya is. I mean, imagine if someone said, all right, you're going on live TV, Rick, give me 3 minutes. And you're like, all right. And then 10 minutes before you're about to go out, be like, hey, got to give me 7 more.
Right.
And then your music hits.
Yeah. And they're like, what are you going to talk about? Same thing we planned. Just make it longer. Right. Like,
yeah, like that was all off the top of her head. It wasn't like WWE. They would have melted down and given her a script that would have been dumb. And
so like, I get she threw out my boss listens to me. That was probably just off the top of her head. Like she was coming up with stuff to say. Like it was, and it wasn't even that bad. Like it was fine.
Right.
People acted like she came out and like stood there and like forgot her lines and like, no, that didn't happen. Like it was slightly long. That's all it was. Like it was a little awkward at points. That's it. It was fine.
Agreed. A little awkward, but okay, move on. Like you said, I couldn't even tell you the awkward points now. Honestly.
No, me neither. and it's good that they gave everybody wants the women to have more time. And yes, they could have put another match in there, but they didn't have another match planned. So you could tell that they just stretched out a promo that they already had
exactly
planned.
Right.
So come on.
Yeah. Before we move on to the match, I'm going to give Saraya one more pat on the back here with what she did. I don't want to say she blurred the lines because I mean she wasn't, since she was obviously in character, but how you said she kind of put us in the gray area. Like, is she a GM? Is she? I mean, she said she was cleared. She's on the active roster, but she just kept that in the dark a little bit. Like,
I like that. People were mad at that too, being like, "Oh, she didn't explicitly say like, no, I prefer this." Like, because at some point, like she hasn't explicitly said she's cleared. So to at least a segment of the fan base, they think she's not cleared, or at least questioning whether or not she's cleared. And at some point, someone's going to push her or hit her, or she's going to get physically involved, and it's going to be that much bigger of a deal because they didn't tell you.
Right. And that person's probably going to be Britt. Just throwing that out there.
Like I remember when Daniel Bryan at the time came back to WWE, and WWE promoted it online. And I get why they did, because someone else like Sports Illustrated or something tweeted that he was cleared. So they had to talk about it too. They couldn't just pretend. Like, I get why they did it. But he was then had like an in-ring segment. I think he was the GM of SmackDown at the time. He had an in-ring segment where he was just talking, and Kevin Owens came out and attacked him. And if they had not told you he was cleared, that would have been so much bigger, because you'd be like, oh my God, I didn't think you could touch him. And now what's going on? Right. Like it would have been such a bigger deal. So that's what they're going to do with her. One day she's going to get hit by someone, and it's going to be so much bigger because she hasn't explicitly said that she's cleared. And people nitpicked everything. People were mad at her saying she wasn't cleared. People were mad that, oh, she put over Toni Storm, but Toni Storm's the champion. Why wasn't Toni Storm putting over her? I'm like, come on, people. Like, it's too much. It's everyone, and I know I read too much internet, so like that's my own fault. Here. Like I'm doing this to myself. But everyone every week goes, I want more, new faces on AEW. I want stuff that hasn't happened before. I want the women to get more time. Okay, here's all the women we have at the time on TV. We're gonna, now it's too long. Now the wrong person talked. Now they said the wrong thing. Like, come on.
It's literally like an episode of The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, we want this, and they give it to them. They're like, well, this is dumb. We want the other thing back.
I was so annoyed though when Tony Khan tweeted, like, I know we had a lot of segments, but we'll have some promos, like we'll have some matches for you. Like, don't just book the show. Every show could be different. That's fine. Like, his reasoning made sense. Like, oh, we booked a lot of promos because we're setting up for next show. Sure you are, but you don't need to tell us that. Just do it. And back to the match.
but back to the match. But first, now that you say that, that might have actually been in good faith because he's getting new fans. So,
yeah. And I get he was I think he was trying to take some of the heat off of Saraya because people were mad at her for like botching her promo, even though she didn't. So I think that was his way of kind of being, no, this was my call. Like, I'm the reason this happened.
Right.
But,
they didn't shut her up because they put her on commentary. So
yes,
I'm sure people complained about that too. Serena Deeb, we talk about her all the time. We're going to talk about it again and how amazing she is. When she did the crossbody reversal onto Toni Storm, I've never seen anybody do that. That was amazing. Like, the talent level there, and trust too. is unreal.
That's the other thing that annoyed me, is that everybody talked about the promo segment when, like, this match was really good.
It was unreal good.
It was a really good match that people should have, like, complaining that, oh, she talked for Toni Storm. No, talk about the match Toni Storm had. It was really good. Like,
and I'm gonna put Serena Deeb over again. They let her control, like, basically the whole first half of this match.
Yeah.
I mean, she controlled through the break. Storm didn't get the upper hand back until like midway through the segment after the break. And they were just going back and forth on the chain wrestling. I mean, I knew Toni Storm was good, but I didn't know that she was that good.
Yeah, I think she hasn't had that many opportunities to be that good.
How smooth she was. I mean,
yeah.
You were just watching two ladies at the top of their game that night. I mean, they were just clicking. And then Deeb kicking out a Storm Zero, I thought I loved it.
Yeah. The whole match was like just a very, very good, like, it was a great match.
Great match. And it was, talking about, they let the girls tell a story, and boy, did they take you on a ride.
Yeah. Serena Deeb, to me, I think we've both mentioned this before. She's Bret Hart. Like, she wrestles a similar style of Bret Hart. You could tell she controls the match the same way he did. You could tell she's calling these matches in the ring. Like, she has such control over everything in the ring that, like, she's such a professional. Like, she's so good.
Yeah. I mean, she wears his boots too.
And Toni Storm, like, obviously great. Like, she's had nothing but good matches since coming to AEW. Like, every match has been great.
Yes. And it took an avalanche pile driver, which, again, talk about the trust.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Didn't
FTR do that?
No, I'm not thinking FTR, but I think FTR did do it. Didn't Hitman Hart, Anvil Neidhart, didn't Anvil Neidhart do that?
Oh, maybe he might have. It seemed familiar, but it's something I haven't seen much.
Yeah, I haven't seen much of it either. I think when they were the Hart Foundation, I think he did a variation of that.
Okay. But yeah, the trust to do that, then to take that and to pull it off, like, it was, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Storm retains. Great match. It was my match of the night. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, Bandito and Jericho, we're going to get into that here in a second, when the main event was a banger, but it wasn't as good as the women's match.
That's the other. I think I agree, but that's the other thing. People complain so much about the fact that there was long promos, but this show also had at least two really, really good matches.
Yeah,
like Deeb Storm was a great match. Bandito Jericho, another great match. Like, it was not a top 10 episode of Dynamite, but even a run of the mill episode of Dynamite still has really, really good matches on it. So
yeah.
And it was entertaining. Like, all of it was good.
I mean, I felt bad for Eli Isom in the next match. I mean, they didn't even tell you who he was before Ricky started. I had to actually rewind the TV because I missed his name. He's a former Ring of Honor guy, by the way. So
I forgot this match even happened until you brought it up now.
Yeah, well, it was a squash. It didn't really. Just breaking news. My buddy just sent me a text that the Undertaker is going to be at Steel City Con in Pittsburgh.
Well, there you go.
And an autograph is $200 plus fees.
And no rookie cards, right? For some reason, he won't sign whatever they call a rookie card. Yes.
Yeah. And Mox is going to be there too, but it's only $60 for Mox. But I want to know, what are the fees? He makes you pay to stay in his line. I mean, it's like, how are their fees? You have to bring your own marker. I mean, like, he's already charging you $200.
Yeah, there's probably a marker fee. There's probably like various other fees.
He's literally charging you $200 for 8 seconds of your time, and there's fees involved. Oh God. Anyway, hey, if you can do it, man, do it.
Yeah, go for it. I'm not blaming him. Like, go ahead.
I mean, I won't be in that line, but
if someone was going to pay me $200 to write my name, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah, 100%. I'll sit there all day. Anyways, Ring of Honor World Championship match: Bandito versus Jericho. Bobby Cruz, ring announcer, Ian Riccaboni, on commentary. What a match. And we're gonna say Jericho mocking the code of honor. I love every second of it.
Yes.
And then on on Rampage talks about how honorable he is. I love it. So good. How strong is Bandito?
Yeah, that suplex. And like but sometimes when they do a standing suplex like that, they obviously the person being lifted is helping. Right? And it doesn't look that impressive. But this time you could tell like he was holding him up, and like effort from Jericho too. Like they were both like they worked for that.
I mean, the crowd started counting late, and then did they get to a minute? Or
yeah, they got to a minute. You could tell by the end though. Bandito was like, just count faster. Just count faster.
Yeah.
You could see him being like, okay.
But that was so impressive.
Because I don't think he'd planned for it to be a minute, but then they were close to the minute, so then he's like, all right. He thought they might. He thought they might stop counting at 10 or something, but they didn't. So he kept it on. Yeah, that was cool.
It was super cool. His little 90-degree spin when he hit the frog splash. Who used to do that? ECW guy.
RVD did that, didn't he?
RVD. There it is.
Yeah.
Jericho hits the code breaker with Bandito jumping off the top rope again. I don't understand how that doesn't break all your ribs.
Yeah.
But
I know it wasn't planned, but I liked the bleeding through the mask. I know they didn't do that. I'm pretty sure they didn't do that on purpose, but it was a cool visual.
Very cool visual. And I'm going to give Jericho credit. 52 years old in a high flying and physical match.
This year of, say what you want about Jericho, but this year of Jericho's career has been one of the top ones in years. Like he's improved, and he did something where he's back where he was, 10 years ago or more.
Well, you texted me this little tidbit here that I'm going to get it right on the first try here. Jericho won the WCW title in WWF and now has won the Ring of Honor title in AEW.
Yeah.
That has to be a one and only time that's happened twice.
And I love that because, first of all, it's a cool stat. Second of all, those stats, I mean, winning the ROH title in AEW, still cool, but like you're not actually a world champion. You were the world champion if you did it in ROH. This is right. So the fact that he will claim that he was WCW champion when like he really wasn't. Like he won it in WWF. Like he'd been in WWF for years by that point. Like,
right. That's very true.
But I like it. Like it fits him.
Oh, it totally fits him.
And it's a cool stat.
And it is a very cool stat. And it is like that could only be on Jericho. Like that is something that like Jericho would claim in like 1994.
Yeah.
One day I'm going to win the WWF title in ECW. Like, that's how good I am.
And technically he was the last WCW champion because after they turned it into the world title, they stripped the name off of it after that. So he was the last WCW champion. He was the first undisputed WWF champion.
Yes.
He was the first AEW champion.
Unreal. Very cool. Very, excuse the pun, very elite club he's in. There's not many people that are like of every major company in the US anyway.
There was a time years ago when it seemed a little strange to include Jericho with like, Stone Cold and Hogan and like the bigger guys, like the bigger name guys, which seemed a little odd to be like, oh, he was never at that level. He was never like Stone Cold Steve Austin level. He was never that popular. He was never Hulk Hogan level. He was never that popular. Right. But just the length of his career and everything he's done, like he's getting all the accolades now just because he's done it for so long in so many different ways in so many different companies, like in North America, in Japan, in ECW, WCW, WWF. Like he's done it everywhere. And I'd say that's even more impressive than doing it like Undertaker. Undertaker had a long career, but it was all in WWF, WWE, which I don't blame him for. Like they keep you there, keep doing it. But the fact that Jericho's done this in so many different places, in so many different eras, like it is pretty impressive.
It's very impressive, and it just dawned on me too. Like very lucky because he's been fairly healthy.
Right.
Like, I mean, of course he's a wrestler. Like, he's broken arms and legs and stuff like
Right.
that. But I mean, he's never needed like knee replacements, hip replacements.
Right.
Some of these guys get to his age and can barely move, and
Right.
he's still
Yeah,
doing moonsaults.
Kurt Angle's been through like everything.
Right. So yeah, I mean, hey, let's give him credit. They earned their "This is awesome" chant.
Yes.
Uh, the Bandito crucifix bomb that was the cherry on top of the whole match.
Yeah.
That was amazing. Even with Jericho kicking out, it made it cooler in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it might have been over there.
Oh no, he kicked. Like,
yeah.
Oh, it was awesome. What a match! Like I said, the women's match was I liked it better, but this was a damn good match.
Yeah. And for anyone who was upset that Bandito was in a main event of it, like they explained it. He was an ROH champion who hadn't lost the title, and they explained it. So
right. And Jericho won, obviously. Great, just wonderful match. And we're gonna get. Did you see they offered Bandito a contract as soon as he stepped?
Yeah, I haven't heard if he signed it or not, but good thing that they did.
I think we're gonna see that tomorrow. Well, yeah, because apparently, the guys up north were trying to get his information, which again, all they had to do was Google him. I mean, he existed for years. Yeah, they apparently were trying to get his contact information. So,
and I'm intrigued to see where they go with Jericho's "I'm going to beat all the ROH champions." He didn't say all the ROH champions. He said like he said the top ones or something. He didn't specifically say everyone.
Yeah, because there's ones that he can't face right now.
Right. Yeah, he's not going to go beat Kevin Owens.
Right.
Or is he? Yeah.
I mean, hey, let him work. I thought it was a good show. Like we said at the beginning, I limited on what they could do, but I thought with what they had, I wouldn't have expected this even.
No, for sure.
Yeah, if I would have known going in to the show, like there was only 25 to 30 people or whatever was rumored to be backstage, I would have been like, oh, it's going to be a rough night. But finding that out and then seeing what they put on, it's on both shows, not just Dynamite. I mean,
right.
Great. Speaking of, we had a Rampage opening with a three-way World Tag Team match. Private Party, love to see Butcher and Blade, and the Acclaimed. Can we give the crowd props again for the "Oh Scissor Me Daddy" chant?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, well, I was under the weather. Did the AEW chants ruin the DX reunion last night?
Was it? No, it's next week. It's next week.
Oh, okay. I thought it was
next
last
week.
Night.
No, it's next week. Okay.
Well, fans, if you're listening, ruin that show.
I'm waiting. It's in New York too, so I feel like they might.
Oh yeah,
like a New York crowd may do that. Yeah. They did it in Queens, so it might be the same people.
They should have definitely had that somewhere. Like they should have went to the West Coast for it. It's only been once.
Yeah.
And we also learned this week via Ethan Page's vlog that the bunny is going to be in a movie.
Cool.
Yeah, she is a fan of the horror franchise, The Puppet Master, and she has on her vlog, many times she has said that, and I don't know if she was offered a role or if she auditioned herself, but she's in the new Puppet Master movie, and she's so excited.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's where she's been. I really liked. I've seen it in a three-way before, but the one team's getting beat up, and the guy from one of the team that's not in just gets fed up and gets the guy and drags him into his corner and tags himself in.
I like that.
I thought that was when the Butcher did that. I was like, that was the coolest thing ever. Just because Butcher's a big cool dude.
Yeah.
That random story. The band that he was in, Every Time I Die, when they were much, much, much smaller, we used to drive up to Erie to see them play all the time. And there's this famous, after all the hardcore shows in Erie, everybody goes to it's a little local place called Eaton Park, and they have a fantastic, cheap as could be buffet that it starts at 11 and it goes till morning. And I watched the butcher, the real name Andy Williams, eat about 3.5 pounds of bacon. And like they brought like a pan of bacon out, and he just went up and grabbed a plate and put all of it on. And like we were like a few tables over, and my buddy noticed it. I was like, "Here's a note." Oh, he ate it all, didn't he? He was like, he literally ate like probably 55 pieces of bacon.
So he lives up to his name, the Butcher.
Yes. Um, the Butcher and Blade, great tag team. They controlled a majority of this match, which I thought was cool. It gave them a good showing. And I hope I hope we see them against the Acclaimed one-on-one.
Yeah.
Because apparently, as we talked about earlier, especially in the tag team division, I don't think their rankings really matter.
Yeah, I feel like the rankings, and I'm actually fine with the rankings being not around. Like it does make it boxes you in a little bit when you're booking.
Right.
I get why you would do it because it also can help you create storylines, but I can go either way. Like if they keep the rankings, fine. If they don't keep the rankings, I don't particularly care.
I agree with you. It just real quick because I noticed this and I've been meaning to text you and forgot about it. On Elevation on Monday, Brian Cage was on.
Right.
And he challenged. Oh wait, there's even a really funny stat that comes with this. He challenged Wardlow for the title, but they put a graphic on the screen. They claim his AEW record is 31-6.
Okay.
when the hell did Brian Cage have 37 matches?
Yeah. I remember him having maybe 10.
Yeah. Like, and those were just singles. Like that was his singles record. So like,
were these not recorded?
When I was like, there's no way. And I went back and I rewound it, and I was like, it says 31-6. I mean, okay, but hey, let's go. I don't know.
And that's AEW. That's not even like ROH, right?
Yes,
that's just AEW.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was very interesting because I don't remember 37 of them.
Now I have to look this up.
The Acclaim retain. I obviously I love the Scissor Me Daddy thing.
Yeah.
But I love, and I think this is going to be like a very Acclaimed thing. It's they have their gimmick coming to the ring, and then they're all business in the ring, and then they turn into their characters out, like when they're leaving again.
Yeah.
And nobody has really ever done that. I was trying to think about that. Like, I don't know if there's ever been people that have been like, like I was thinking maybe like Doink the Clown, but he was always a heel though.
Right.
So I just like the gimmick. It's pulled off perfectly. It's like, because you would normally think like, oh, this guy comes to the ring, he raps, and then they do a thing with Billy Ass, and they say scissor me, so you're like, oh, they're a comedy act.
Right.
But no, they're not at all. They're the tag team champions, and they do nothing but wrestle in the ring. It's really interesting gimmick. I like it.
So apparently, back to Brian Cage, not to ignore everything you said. No, I looked him up on cagematch.net. He actually has had a lot of matches in AEW.
Okay, that's how I remember.
None of them
are memorable. They were.
Like one is recent. He wrestled Tracy Williams on Elevation this week, yes. I think. Yes. And then his last match in AEW before that was against Ricky Starks when he lost the FTW title.
Oh, the FTW title. Okay.
That was in June 2021. Oh no, October 2021.
So a year ago.
A year ago, yeah. But he had a bunch of matches on like Elevation and a lot of Elevation matches.
Okay.
A lot of matches on Dark and like in mid 2021, like June, May, June 2021. He had a lot of matches.
Okay.
I mean, all of them seem like they were squashes because they're all against people I don't know, and they were all like 4 minutes long. But
well, I was gonna say those could be matches where like I jump on Twitter.
Right.
So like I might not have remembered a lot.
And it was in the days when like Dark and Elevation were like an hour and a half or 2 hours long. So
yeah, so that's true too. Okay, well, got to the bottom of that. Hey, at least
You
unlike their website,
you don't remember his 1 minute 25-second match against John Cruz in June of 2020?
no,
You don't remember that? That was on Dynamite.
Wow.
So there you go.
Well, hey, AEW might not update their website, but apparently they update their stats.
Yeah.
Because I would have never guessed.
Because seems like they were correct.
Wow, it's impressive.
I love the internet. I love the fact that I can look that up.
And that's why yes, and that's exactly why I don't even get involved when people are like, who is this guy? Who is this girl? Where'd she come from?
Right.
Because how long did that take to figure out that Brian Cage actually had 37 matches?
Right. Yeah, like 2 minutes, not even.
Exactly. Exactly.
But yes, big fans of the Acclaimed.
Yes.
Back to the Acclaimed, big fans.
Big fans. They retained.
Everyone loves the Acclaimed.
Everybody does love the Acclaimed. We had a segment backstage, Lexi Nair backstage with the Firm.
Not to cut in with Brian Cage again, but I love the fact that they're using his 37 wins from a year and a half ago.
That's also true.
To be like, that's why he's challenging for the TNT title. In June of 2020, he had a lot of wins.
That is actually hilarious because
I love that.
because your record's supposed to reset at the beginning of the new year.
Yeah, he's technically 1-0 this year.
Hey, well, he's undefeated. See, he deserves it.
That's why he gets the title match. Undefeated. I would love if they go, he's bringing his undefeated record and he's undefeated in 2022. AEW.
His last match was 6 days ago. Wow, that's amazing.
Brian Cage.
Brian Cage, he's getting paid.
That's right.
Hang out with all his friends backstage.
That's right.
Grade A catering every week.
Good for him.
And see the entire world. Well, not yet the entire world, but
the eastern part of the eastern part of the United States.
Yeah, on someone else's dime.
And occasionally maybe California.
Right.
Or Vegas.
And someone else is paying for all that. So.
There you go. Good for him.
Exactly. I mean, we're doing something wrong.
That's right. But we don't look like a mountain. That's our mistake.
That is true.
Sorry for all the Brian Cage interruptions here.
That's all right. At least someone's talking about it.
There you go.
Half the battle. Lexi Nair backstage with the Firm, and you pointed this out a couple weeks ago, and I really liked the beginning whenever Lexi Nair gave the microphone to Stokely, and he not verbatim what he said, but he was basically like, "Why are you giving the mic to me? Like, you're here to talk to them."
Right.
You know, like, I mean, he didn't say that, but he basically gave that vibe. Like, yeah, we're all kind of we're a group, but we don't all need to be here. Like,
right.
I'm just here right now. Like,
I like that
voice.
Yeah.
Yes. And they make fun of FTR. The Guns make fun of FTR again, and then, like I said earlier, they gave themselves a new name, and they said Top Guns out. Do you think they use that?
I think they use it for this feud with FTR. I don't know how long it lasts.
Oh, that would be a cool gimmick if they just stole the gimmick of whoever they're wrestling.
Yeah, that would be fun. And just replace whatever they said with guns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that would be amazing. Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. And we're going to get a match. Is it on Rampage?
Yeah, I think so. Yes.
Yeah, I didn't write it down. I just said they did get a match. But
yeah, I think it's Rampage.
So, and Rampage is no.
Yeah, this is live, and then Battle of Belts follows it, is it not?
Yeah, I was going to say, could it be Battle of the Belts? Could they give the Ass Boys an actual?
I think it's Rampage.
It's Rampage. Okay. Well, that's true. We haven't heard anything for Battle of the Belts yet, have we?
I think we've heard one. Isn't it? It's Pac and someone, isn't it? Maybe I'm wrong here. I feel like they named one match for Battle of the Belts.
Okay. I haven't paid attention today. Or if I did, it just went over my head. Now, I think the next segment was a backstage segment that was probably the most important segment of the night. I'm going to tell you why. Jade backstage gets interrupted by Nyla freaking Rose and Marina Shafir. I think she's going to take the place of Chris Statlander on beating Jade.
Yeah, I could see that. I was when Nyla came out, I never thought of Nyla challenging Jade, but as soon as she came out, I was like, yeah, that's gonna be awesome. I definitely want to see that.
Yes, and I want babyface Nyla Rose. She's so good.
Yeah, she's so funny that
Hilarious.
she has to be able to do it on TV because she's so funny.
Yes. And she even told Jade, she's like, "Get out of here with your ashy eyebrow."
Yeah, like she's legitimately really funny. So I hope they let her do that on TV instead of just being like the big tough person who just kind of stands around and fights people. Like I like that. I like her personality. I think she's fun, and I want her to do it on TV.
Yeah, let her cut loose. I mean, Vicky could still be there because Marina needs Vicky, and that's nothing against Marina.
Right.
But whenever it's time to talk, don't let Vicky talk for her, and then let her be herself.
Yeah, just let her be herself. She's hilarious.
Yes, she is wonderful. And she's like the queen of puns. Like, do you follow her on Twitter?
Yeah, she's a really good follower.
She's so funny, so good. But yes, we're gonna. Well, I bet you that could be a battle of the belts. Nyla versus Jade.
Yeah, now I have to see what they announced for Battle of the Belts because I know they announced. I'm like pretty certain they announced something.
Well, then that's going to go against what I was going to say because Nyla couldn't beat her Battle of the Belts because then, like, why would you make Jade be like 36-0?
Right.
Like, you got to hit 50 now.
Yeah, it's true.
Damn it.
What they announced Battle of Pac versus Trent.
Oh, okay, yes, okay. Very cool, but
that's all we've heard about it so far.
Okay.
No, that's all I've heard about it so far. So probably more soon.
Oh yeah, we'll probably hear a lot tomorrow because we got an extra 15 minutes tomorrow too.
That's right.
And an extra.
I hope they just stretch out a Saraya promo for that 15 minutes just to.
That would. I hope it's how they end it.
Just to make. Yeah. She cuts a 10-minute promo and they're like, "Guess what? We have 15 extra minutes," and just let her cut another 15 minutes. I think that would be great.
And she just starts stumbling over her words and just ends her awkwardly.
Constantly insults WWE.
Yes. And then there was this guy that worked in accounting. Let me tell you about it. Just like
there was muffins once, and he ate the last muffin, and I really wanted it.
Right. It was so terrible there.
That would be great. Amazing. Yeah, like just little nitpicks, like ridiculously small things that she's mad about.
Yeah. Like direct deposit never came in for it was always like 10
it was in the afternoon. It should have come in the morning.
Right. Oh, that'd be amazing. Lee Moriarty versus Fuego del Sol. Much props to Fuego. We haven't seen him in a while. And him and Lee put on a hell of a match. I even wrote down it was a great showcase for Lee and a good showcase for Fuego.
Yeah.
And then
I feel like this match got upgraded from like Darker Elevation and they put it on Rampage because they needed something on Rampage.
That definitely.
No shot against the match. The match was fine.
Oh, but absolutely.
This isn't a typical Rampage match.
Yeah, agreed. And I can totally see like what you're saying. And then by them adding the ending of W. Morrissey with choke slamming Fuego, I don't think that would have happened on Dark or Elevation.
Right. Yeah,
that
I agree.
Was definitely more of a TV. Get the firm on TV more.
Right.
Get up, like realize that they're a loose group.
Right.
But a great match. It was just a good showing, good old fashioned 5-minute wrestling match.
Yeah.
Nothing to complain about. Hangman backstage with the Dark Order. Nice little promo. Andrade comes in. And for some reason he wants 10 to take his mask off, and I have no idea why. Like
he just likes taking people's masks off. He did the whole thing against Lucha. He doesn't want people to wear masks.
I I mean, he does take his off. I was gonna say he wears one.
Yeah, but he takes it off. Yeah, he has a thing against masks.
The thing that I thought was like funny with this whole thing, and I texted you about it today, like stipulations are so lopsided. Like if Andrade wins, we get to see a guy's face who we know who he looks like because he didn't used to wear a mask.
Right.
But if Andrade leaves, he has to leave the company. Like, it just makes zero sense.
Yeah. I really do like that they're leaning into the Andrade wants to leave AEW with this match.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Because there's all the rumors out there. Maybe he does want to leave it. I have no idea. Right. I don't know him. But
exactly.
I love that there's that rumor out there and they're just going with it. I like it.
Yeah.
And it could be, I mean, there's a chance this could be legitimately the way to write him off TV. Like he might lose. That's how they get him off. And good, fine. If he's leaving, then they found a way to write him off TV. Good for you. And if he's not leaving, this is a good angle.
Yeah, because I told you how I think the other side of it's going to go. I think he is going to lose, but you sent me, I think it was Cage Side.
Yeah.
Did the interview with Tony Khan.
Yeah.
And Tony Khan kept saying, oh yes, if he loses, he has to leave AEW. It never said the company, never said like our corporation.
But he doesn't work for me anymore. Yeah.
Right. To me, that means yes, he loses, but then he's going to sign with Ring of Honor and be
that would actually be cool.
Like he's going to talk about how he hated it at AEW and he was underutilized, but I'm coming here and I'm going to be the champion.
That's another thing while we're on the topic. People get mad being like, oh, why are they doing these fake shoot angles where the wrestlers say they hate AEW? They're making AEW look bad. Did you never see Stone Cold Steve Austin? Like his entire gimmick was, I hate it here. You're an awful boss. Like, this company sucks. Like,
yeah. And
I'm only here because I want to fight people. Like, I don't like it here. The entire NWO, like WCW, they came out and explicitly said WCW sucks.
Yes. Yeah. Did people really think Hulk Hogan started another corporation that worked within a corporation and they let that happen?
Like, there's been the line of wrestlers who've insulted the company they work for is very long. So don't act like this. Even Eric Bischoff is like, why are they letting the wrestlers come out and attack it? Because that's what wrestlers do. That's what every wrestler has had like a anti-authority thing going on. Like they're not, this isn't new. This has happened so many times before.
And it's like, it's wrestling 101.
Right.
That's
to the point where it's weird when it doesn't happen. Like when there's a champion who's just like, I just love this company. It's a little strange. Like it's different. It's not what you expect to see.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was just going to say. Like, do you walk around and tell everybody how great your job is? Like, nobody does that.
Right.
Like, yes, you might know what you do, but you don't talk about it. And like when you're at work, be like, man, this place is awesome, huh? Like, I love every minute.
Aren't we lucky? Yeah.
Like, come on. Like, it's work. I mean,
and it makes the wrestlers seem like more like regular people. Like, they complain about their jobs too. Like they don't like when their boss tells them what to do either. Like,
So exactly. So that's my prediction.
That makes a lot of sense. That'd be cool.
Yeah. And they can just keep playing into and again, you're going to blur the lines. I love that they're blurring these lines weekly now. It's
making people so mad, but it's great.
It's so great, but it's also, I lost my word. It's great, but they're separating themselves from WWE. They're making not just a competitor, they're offering you something totally different. It's not even the same wheelhouse, to the point that WWE is going to have to copy it if they want to keep people's attention.
Because WWE doesn't. They don't really blur those lines. I mean, the last time they did was probably when CM Punk cut that promo. They haven't really blurred those lines since then, and it works.
It works perfectly. So it's going to be like, and then of course, then what do you do when WWE starts to copy you? You change your game a little bit and then make fun of them, being like, hey, remember when we did that like a year ago?
Right.
Like, yeah. Willow Nightingale, lover, versus Jamie Hayter, also lover.
Yes, and the crowd loved Jamie Hayter.
It, oh, we didn't even talk about that before the
oh yeah, with the Saraya thing,
yeah. Britt's cutting her promo, and the crowd literally drowns out Britt with the Jamie Hayter.
Yeah,
it was brilliant.
And Britt correctly responds with, "Hey, you're lucky you're not fighting her either." Like she knew what to do with that.
Yes. My first note is every so over, and I think
she's great.
I think she's so over because she looks like somebody that like you could just like see and be like, hey, we should like go run down the street, and she'd be like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, she just looks friendly. Like yeah, like you'd want to like hang out with her. Yeah, like you could just say like, hey, let's just go get cotton candy, and she'd come with you. Like she just seems like a fun person.
Yeah.
Like she's gonna go to the amusement park with you and spend the day, right? Like she's gonna be fun.
Just hang out. Like just hang out and eat candy all day.
And do fun things. Yeah, she seems fun.
Very fun, yes. She took control early. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
They went back and forth. I even made the note. I don't know if they might have worked with each other in the past. I do not know, but they worked really well together. Like they were like move for move with each other. It was real. They had very good chemistry. Jamie was in control during the on picture in picture for me, and then we. So, did I miss anything? Like, well, they obviously didn't edit out your end.
Well, when they do they keep it going during picture, we get the same thing. Like they cut and they just show like a Rampage logo for a while.
Okay. So when they cut us, you cut too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't realize that.
The fight doesn't actually show anything more. They just have like you can hear the commentary.
Okay.
So when you're not seeing picture in picture, neither is fight.
Okay. So what was commentary like in picture in picture, or was it just goofy?
It was kind of goofy. They put over Willow a lot as someone who's
good.
Who's like the crowd loves her, and how like she's tougher than you'd think. She looks really friendly, but she's actually like a great wrestler too. Like they put her over a lot. So
good. It was a very great match. That was poor English. Very good match. Hayter won, but with interference from Britt.
Yes.
I think this is slowly going to be the wedge.
Yeah, that makes sense, actually. Yeah, Jamie Hayter will get mad that she's,
Yeah, in every like, okay, she's going to buy into it now. But, like, wait till, like, Britt does this, like, 3-4 times in a row.
And it'll be in matches where she doesn't need it. Like, she doesn't actually need the interference. She would have won on her own.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. So I thought that was going to be a little foreshadowing there. Apparently, which we learned tonight on Dark, right after that match ended is when Ryan Nemeth came to the ring when we all went to commercial.
Right.
And then when it came back and he was talking about ECW, like Taz said, he'd already been in the ring for a couple minutes at that point. And he said that he just had the crowd, like, if they didn't come back to TV, like, apparently the crowd was like ready to jump the rail and kill him. So I don't know what he said, but
that's great.
Must have offended like the entire city of Philadelphia.
That's great.
Because when he came back from TV, when we came back to TV, he was insulting ECW, which the one brand of ECW that was run by WWE you should make fun of all day, but the hardcore ECW fan, those were those people.
The WWE one was the real ECW, didn't you know?
Yeah, if you retcon everything and watch all their documentaries on their channel, that's
right. They fixed all the problems with the original ECW and made it even better.
Yeah,
that's why it still exists today.
Yeah. Yes. Hook defended the honor of ECW, original ECW, for his old man, and destroyed Ryan Nemeth in the ring, and then just walked away. It was wonderful. And the Trust Butler, Mr. VSK, presented an envelope.
Yes.
So
And Hook took it. Hook picked it up.
And Hook picked it up. So
I was surprised. I thought he might just walk by it, but he picked it up.
yes, he picked it up. So the Trustbusters might become a little more legitimate here.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think? Do you think Hook obviously doesn't need them, but do they need Hook?
I think they probably do need Hook. I think, well, the Trustbusters it's Tony Khan's confirmed it on Twitter. They're Tony Khan, right? Like that's him picking up all the guys. Yeah. Yes. That's Tony Khan. Yeah. So is Hook going to join them because he's the kind of guy Tony Khan would hire? Or is my other thought was, is Hook just going to beat every one of them like individually, and it'll give Hook something to do, and maybe Parker Bordeaux or something will get some offense in on him, so that'll help put him over a little bit too.
That's a good point. I never thought of that. That makes a lot of sense.
So we'll see.
That's what I would. Yeah, just let Hook destroy the whole.
Like go through one a week or something give him 4 weeks or whatever to go through the whole team.
Oh yeah, let's go. I want that to happen though. It was main event time. John Silver of the Dark Order versus Roosh from. I almost went out on a limb and tried to say it, but I had it written down and I spelled it way wrong.
From his faction, yes.
From the Andrade family office. There we go. That we always forget that exists.
Andrade actually has 2 groups, which is great.
It is. Yeah.
And I saw someone explain actually the difference, like the faction he has with Roosh is like his actual faction. And then the Andrade family office is like, he just picked up these contracts that he didn't necessarily want, but like he still has them. So like, yeah, sure. Keep going. But he like treats them badly.
Right. So to put it in layman's terms, if you're listening to the show, he has 2 factions, one that we forget exists and the other that we can't pronounce.
Right. Yes, correct.
So yes, if you're wondering, that's where our headspace is.
Correct. LFI. There you go.
Yes. Super fast start. John Silver and Roosh have cardio out the wazoo.
Yes.
Because they ran around for the first 12 minutes of this.
They're in better shape than I could ever dream of being in.
Yes. Yeah, I couldn't have lasted the first minute of this match. I'd have passed out from exhaustion. Roosh is so smooth. He is good, but let's not take anything away from John Silver.
No.
John Silver, yes, he will make you laugh because he is that guy. I mean, John Silver is definitely the guy that's always the loudest at the bar. You could just tell.
Right.
He's that
guy. You forget because he's funny and he has a good gimmick. Like he has a funny gimmick. Yeah. He's kind of a comedy. You forget that he's actually really good in the ring too.
Yes. Yeah, he's that guy at the bar, but he'll also like break your neck in real life.
Right.
I mean, just look at him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, Roosh took control through the break. As soon as we came back, Silver started to make his comeback, which I was surprised that I don't want to say that they let him go that far, but it was more than just the typical wrestling comeback to make you look like you had a little offense thrown in.
Right. I think part of it was because of the small roster. Like they had, this match probably wouldn't have gone as long if it hadn't been the circumstances, but it was a good match.
Yeah, great match. Roosh won with the Bull's horns, and then the Dark Order come in to save Mr. John Silver after the match. Hangman hits the buckshot lariat on Jose the assistant, which poor Jose is like the worst job ever.
I loved it too because he was going to hit it on Roosh and Roosh dropped out of the ring. So he's like, all right, fine, I'll hit him instead. And it was great.
Yeah.
I like the Hangman they have now is like a more confident Hangman, which I like.
Yes, the more confident Hangman. Let's go. Well, this is going to get into my rant, so I'll back off that because we're going to hit that in a second. But I made the note here, and I said it at the beginning, and I'm going to reiterate it now. Remember, 3/4 of the roster was not here this week, and we still had 2 if you're going to compare them to WWE shows, these shows were still off the hook because these shows ate everything that you got for the past 5 years alive, ate it alive.
And we were coming off Grand Slam, which was like, it was basically a
Exactly.
pay-per-view. Like, it was a huge show. So you're not going to follow another huge show with another absolutely huge show. Like, that's not reasonable to expect that.
Exactly.
It says something about the level of quality people expect from AEW, that they're like, this was so bad. Like, it wasn't bad. It was pretty good. Like,
well, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, if the bar is set so high, if you can put up a pretty good show and people think that it was awful, you're doing great because your bar is very high.
Right.
Now, if you go a little up north and you put on that was pretty decent, and people are like, oh my God.
Like, literally now, I don't want to take it into WWE, but like, literally now Triple H is just not making every terrible decision that Vince McMahon made. And it was like, he's the greatest promoter of all time. Like, no, Vince McMahon was just really bad. Like, he made a lot of really poor decisions in the last 10, 15 years. And like, so as long as he's not doing that, he looks awesome, right? Like, and it's the opposite in AEW. AEW is such a high bar for them that like anytime their show isn't the best thing you've ever seen, it seems like it's a disappointment when it's not.
Yeah. And you said you have a rant.
I do.
I also have a rant.
You can go first. Go ahead. Especially if yours carries into what you're talking about now. Go for it.
Yes, mine is 100% dedicated to the Dark Order.
All right.
And my rant is I'm gonna yell at the fans here for a minute because we talked,
go for it.
We talked about it. AEW fans, you just brought it up like 5 minutes ago. They say they want homegrown talent. Then they say they want, why did you sign this guy or girl? Or, oh, why did this happen? Why did that happen? Dark Order has been a major part of this company since day one. Like, I remember like making a note and writing down, oh, I have to go to www.joindarkorder.com. Like, I got to see what this is. I don't know what this is. This is cool. Homegrown from Evil Uno and Stu. And then when they get Brody Lee, and Lee handpicks John Silver, Alex Reynolds, and Preston Vance, pulls them out of basically the gutter. They were all per week talent. And he told Tony Khan, hire these guys. They're finishing out the group. To this day, they are now mainstays on AEW television. And this just dawned on me about a week ago. Everybody since Brody has passed, like saying, well, the Dark Order needs a leader. The Dark Order needs a leader, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be Bray Wyatt. It's going to be this. I mean, I've been guilty of saying that too. The Dark Order has a leader, and it's freaking Hangman Page.
Right.
And that is who is going to take over. And the Dark Order is going to be, they're not going to be as big as like the Elite or anything, but the Dark Order is still going to be a staple in this company. And for people asking for it, you have it, and it's right in front of you. And okay, yeah, it got a little goofy. And if Brody is still alive, is John Silver the way that he is now? Probably not. He's a different character, but they would still be a mainstay. So
yeah. And people get upset that, oh, they're not getting what they should be getting. Like, no, I think they're getting exactly what they should be getting. Like, they're not main event. They're not Jon Moxley. They're not Chris Jericho, but they're on TV pretty regularly. They're on TV quite a lot. They have an association with one of the bigger acts in AEW and Hangman Page. Like, they're pretty much exactly where they should be.
Yeah. And you just hit the nail on the head. Like, they've done it all on their own. Like, yes, they had Brody Lee, but no disrespect to Brody Lee. Brody Lee is not Chris Jericho.
Right.
I mean, he legitimized them 100%, but Brody Lee had a name, but he didn't have that big of a name.
And I mean, they got over with their comedy. They got over with their humor. Like, they did get over on their own. Like, he was a part of it, and he the fact that they could play off him was even better. Like, they needed that.
Oh yeah.
But this is a lot they're doing for sure.
100%. So yeah, like, just open your eyes a little bit. Stop reading the internet with the blinders on, people.
And you don't have to be world champion to be like a vital part of the roster.
Exactly. I say it all the time. Like, you need the mid card, because with no mid card, there is no upper card.
Right.
You just need to.
And when you think back to like the biggest times of wrestling, think back to the 80s when wrestling was huge. Yes, they had Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage and Ultimate Warrior and whoever, but like their mid card was serious. Like it was significant. Like it was people that you still remember now. Like, even Bret Hart, Mr. Perfect, guys who like weren't competing for the world titles. Jake Roberts. But they were important. And in the 90s, Steve Austin, The Rock, whatever, but like Too Cool, important for them. Like there was a lot of guys who I think of the Dark Order as like a Too Cool type group. Like they could be in a main event. Like Too Cool was a main event sometimes. They weren't going to win.
And you had exactly.
They weren't going to win world titles, but you could put them in a main event and they would do a great job and people would love it. And same with Dark Order. Like they can main event shows and people love it.
Again, it was one of the big writers. I don't know if it was Sean Ross Sapp or WrestleMania or somebody, but about a year ago, maybe 6 months, I don't know, they compared the Dark Order to the Headbangers. Like, or I'm sorry, not the Dark Order. They compared John Silver and Alex Reynolds to the Headbangers. Sorry.
Right.
And that made sense to me because the Headbangers were funny.
Right.
But the Headbangers could go. And they were world champions.
Yeah, and you could put them in bigger matches and it made sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you needed a laugh, you gave them a mic backstage, or like, they were. That's Alex Reynolds and John Silver.
There's a ton of value in like an Al Snow type role that like isn't
100%
isn't a superstar, but like can go anywhere on the show and do something. And
I mean, look,
Colt
Cabana's made millions of dollars doing that.
You can't say that. That's outrageous. People are going to get mad at you.
Let them. He didn't. But that is my rant. So
I agree. Yeah, they're where they should be, and they, for all the AEW doesn't push their own guys, like they are pushing the Dark Order, and the Dark Order is succeeding, and like they're doing what they should be doing. Yeah. Now my rant is kind of twofold. One, I sent it to you a little bit ago that the working theory is Tony Khan basically bought ROH because WWE wanted to buy ROH and he didn't want them to have it, so he bought it. I agree with that. Move. Not just from I'm a cool billionaire who can outbid the other billionaire. Like that's cool to be able to do that, but I don't want WWE to own absolutely everything. I'm glad that he owns ROH. I'm glad that he is trying to have ROH be a company as opposed to just buying them for the tape library and shutting them down. Like he's trying to respect what they have and turn them into something. I do think because it seemed like it was a snap decision, the purchase of ROH has kind of skewed AEW TV a little bit because ROH is taking up a lot of time on their shows. And I'm not against it. Like the ROH stuff that's been on TV has been fine, but it's not AEW. And I don't know how long they'll continue to do this if ROH isn't going to get a show. It's a little strange to keep having like, ROH titles when like there's also AEW titles that aren't on TV. Like they haven't defended, say, the AEW TNT title, but they're defending the ROH Pure title. Like it's a little strange,
right?
That they're doing it like that. I get why it happened. I just think it's a little weird that it's happening, which ties into my actual point. Is I don't think AEW is dropping the ball on a lot of people. We hear a lot of stories about like, AEW dropped the ball on this guy, like Malachi Black. They dropped on Andrade. I don't think they did. I don't think they dropped the ball on those guys because they're on TV, or Malachi Black was and Andrade is. They're on TV a lot, and they do what they're entertaining when they're on TV, and they have their opportunities to be on TV. I don't think those are people that they've dropped the ball on, and I don't think there's this problem that people think there is of like, they're pushing the AEW new guy, they're pushing the new guys over the AEW originals. I don't care. Like if you're entertaining, I don't care if you've been there a year or 6 months or 5 years or where you worked before. I don't care about that. The only thing that I find weird, and I touched on it earlier, is two things. Wardlow, since winning the TNT title, like the TNT title has basically been meaningless. And he was huge. And he's kind of just a guy now, which isn't a problem because I feel like they can get him over again if they needed to.
Oh yeah.
But it's a little strange that the TNT title is just kind of vanished. And my other problem that I've touched on before is FTR. Like I don't know what's going on with FTR. Like
it's weird.
They're the best tag team, and I mean Dax Harwood legitimately could have been wrestler of the year. He's in contention, and they're just there. Like it's weird. I know AEW books long term, and I know things like buying ROH or the Hardys not being able to win the tag titles, or the stuff that happened with the Elite. Like I know that interferes with the plans that they have. And Tony Khan, I actually like Tony Khan will wait until the situation comes back to what he wanted it to be, and then they'll go with the storyline. Like he waited a really long time to turn Julia Hart because they were waiting to do it when Death Triangle was back, and that took a while. And that was fine.
When it happened, it finally happened and it worked. Yeah,
I just think it's a little weird that they. At this point with FTR, you kind of have to change whatever your plan was. Like if your plan was to have them fight the Hardys, and the Hardys aren't going to be like, if they're not going to be back for a year, if ever, like do something. You have to do something else. You can't just like let them sit around for this long, not doing something. And maybe that's an ROH thing. Maybe they thought they'd have an ROH TV show and they'd be stars on the ROH TV show, and that hasn't happened. It seems like something went wrong, but I think it needs to be changed.
I agree. And I know I say this all the time. I'm not going to put my stamp of approval on it yet, but I think we're really close to something because, well, we were just in Philly, and well, not we, I'm not a part of the company. They were just in Philly. And like I said, 90% of the people on Dark and Elevation this week were all former Ring of Honor people.
Right.
Now, I know they normally, like a lot of them live on the East Coast here, and a lot of them are from Philadelphia. But normally they don't, like, they barely even say that, oh, they're big on the indies. It'll just be like, this is Bill Smith, whoever.
Right.
And they making their AEW debut. But like every time they mentioned like Ian Riccaboni, he calls Elevation on Mondays now, which again I think is another sign.
Right.
And he would say, oh, and former Ring of Honor, or they had a stint in Ring of Honor 5 years ago. Like he was telling you who everybody was.
Right.
And they all seem to have the the letters ROH attached to them. So I think something's coming, but that's just me.
Yeah. And I hope it does, because I'm not saying it's hurting. Like AEW's shows are still very entertaining. Like every time I watch them, I'm entertained by the show. So I'm not saying that like, oh, they're ruining the show. It's not. But I do hope that they do something with ROH, because it seems a little, like I said with the mid card, it's a little strange that like they have the ROH titles, they have the TNT title, and they're all kind of just there. They're not like, it does seem like they're waiting for something. And I think what they're waiting for is probably an ROH TV show.
Well, I was going to say, maybe that I was just thinking right now, it hit me, talk about a moment and waiting for something. Maybe Tony was waiting for tomorrow night and the big anniversary show to just randomly make a huge announcement.
That's true.
Just tell the execs, hey, trust me on this one. We're going to hold off. Like, yeah, it's signed, but we're not, like, don't even let it out. Just say like, oh, Excalibur, like, oh, wait, hold on. Tony just said what in my ear? Ring of Honor starts in January 2023. Like,
yeah, even just giving you a date would be good. Yeah.
Like, tomorrow night, be on the lookout. That just dawned on me.
I was saying earlier today, it's a little odd, and I think this might change, but it's a little odd to have if you told someone a year ago the AEW is going to have its 3-year anniversary on Dynamite, and there's going to be no Cody, there's going to be no Elite. It's weird. Like, it's odd that and obviously Cody's not going to show up, but it's weird that the Elite aren't there. And I understand the circumstances, like whatever happened.
Who would have saved Larry?
Yeah. But it just feels weird. And it just seems like I'm not the kind of person who's going to, I've said a million times, like, this isn't about AEW talent versus non-AEW or new guys or WWE guys, or like, I don't care about that. Like, first of all, I don't care where you worked before. If you're entertaining. Right. Second of all, if you're a wrestler who wasn't signed by AEW when AEW started, there's a good chance that you had some sort of career with WWE. Like it's the one huge company. Like, of course you worked for WWE. If you're going to find people who've never worked for WWE, like those guys aren't ready to be on TV because they've never worked for a major company.
Right.
So I don't care about like, oh, they're pushing the ex WWE guys over the AEW. Like I don't care about that at all. And I don't care that, FTR are ex WWE guys. So like, I'm not saying that they should push all the AEW guys. I'm just saying it's a little weird. And what do you think? Do you think Tony Khan is doing too much?
Oh yeah, like you mean too much like backstage?
Yeah, like too many jobs in AEW.
Yes, in general in life.
Yeah,
too many jobs.
Yeah, like he's also at football games. He's like, just because, especially if ROH gets a show, I'm slightly worried he's going to write it himself, and like he's already writing all the AEW stuff. Like he can't also write an ROH show. Like that's not possible.
I wouldn't mind if he. I don't want like if he had like his 2 cents put in, but I agree. Like he doesn't need to be writing. I don't know, even if it's just another hour a week. Like that's your 3 hours of television plus you own a soccer team and a professional football team. I mean, like that's a lot of stuff.
I do think, and I know that there's problems obviously with the way WWE does stuff, but I think Tony Khan kind of needs to be in more of a Vince McMahon role. Vince McMahon didn't write the shows himself.
Right.
He had writers who wrote the shows himself, and he would review what they wrote, or he would say, hey, I want to have a feud between this guy, and they would write it and
make it happen.
And then he'd decide if it was good or not. By the end of his term there, he would decide everything was terrible and rip it up and throw it away, which is not how you run a business. I'm not saying Tony Khan should do that. But I do think he has people who have a lot of wrestling experience. He has, access to Jake Roberts, William Regal, Jerry Lynn, Dean Malenko. He has so many guys, that Arn Anderson, who could be booking, not even booking the shows. Like he can book the matches, but they can write the actual stuff that happens. Like I think he needs to be doing a little bit more delegation with stuff. And I think maybe he's getting there because he does have a, talent relations division now in his company. And he has I don't think that the show is suffering because he's doing too much, but I think that it easily could be suffering very quickly. Like if he got one more show, I feel like that could push it over the edge.
Well, yeah, and because you got to think of what comes with that one more show. Like even if they ran, just say it pay-per-view every 6 months, well, all of a sudden every other month he has a pay-per-view to write because they do more than that because they do their 4 plus now Forbidden Door, and then if you add 2 more, that's 7 months out of the year that he's writing pay-per-views.
Like I remember I read a thing with Vince Russo when he left WWF at the time. Him and Ed Ferrara writing all the shows. Like Vince McMahon had the final say, but they were the only writers, and they wrote all the shows. And he said when they got SmackDown, he was like, that was too much because I spent all my time writing Raw. Like all my time, like not even working hours. Like I was always working on Raw and in meetings with people and then they were like, oh yeah, we're going to double the amount of TV we have, but you're not getting more staff that just write more. Right. So if Tony Khan's doing that on his own, in addition to all the other stuff he does, like he's also not just the football team stuff. I'm sure he's involved in merchandising deals with AEW and television and television deals and whatever other deals he's involved in. Like it's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And I mean, hey, more power to him, but yeah, he needs, we're in year 3 officially now. So it's growing and he's seeing that and he's slowly making the changes, but I think it's coming.
Like Jericho even said it in that ill-fated press conference. He was like, we're a big company now and we have to act like a big company now.
Yeah.
And it's true. They do need to act like a big company now. And I will always like the fact that he tries to go for long-term stories. I like it. Like I like that he books things far in advance and he knows this team's going to feud with this guy and this guy's going to feud with this guy and then this is going to happen. Like I like that. It has cohesion to the whole show. And I like that he doesn't necessarily change plans because someone might be hurt or someone might be out or someone might have missed a show. Like I like that. But sometimes you have to. And I feel like
100%.
the stuff with Wardlow, the stuff with FTR, I think he really has to, whatever plans he had for them, put those to the side for now, do something else, and then you can revisit whatever you wanted to do later.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think tomorrow is going to be like the famous night after WrestleMania Raw. I
Right.
think tomorrow night is going to be there. It's going to be a start of a whole new. I don't want to say era.
This week was
They
last week was the new era, but
yeah. So right. So this week, I think you're going to see a bunch of new stories started, and it's going to be the start of the AEW year.
And it's a little weird. I don't know personally what I would do, because people criticize him for all the new hires that he's made, but I can't criticize him for that, because if Keith Lee and Swerve and Malachi Black and Andrade and Ruby Soho and Tony Storm and Saraya, all their contracts come up in the course of 6 months, like, of course you hire, or the year, or however long they've been there, like, of course you hire them. Like, you would be silly not to. Like,
yeah,
it makes perfect. Like, he didn't expect WWE to like fire half that roster. Like, of course not.
Exactly.
Right. So
yeah,
and everyone loves what Triple H is doing. All he's doing is hiring back the people that they fired. Like, it's universally recognized that was an insane thing to do, to hire all those people. So Tony Khan hiring all of them, it made perfect sense, 100%. It's just it's a little weird now, because there are guys like Lance Archers and FTR and Brian Cage and people who, like, if WWE didn't fire all those people, they would have bigger roles right now.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that they should be pushed over them. Like, if you have Swerve and Keith Lee, like, you push Swerve and Keith Lee, that's what you do. And if that means another team like Private Party doesn't get TV time, sorry, but like Swerve and Keith Lee are a bigger deal right now, so they get more TV time. That's how it works.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about pro sports all the time, and the same thing happens in pro sports. You if you have a chance to get the guy, you get the guy.
Right.
Like, the free agents there, you take them, and then if your fourth line left wing has to sit down,
right,
be scratched, oh no.
Yeah, like, it's a little weird that. Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I don't know what I don't know how to properly phrase this, because it's not like I'm saying, oh, I don't know what they're going to do, because if they don't treat, no offense to Tony Nese or Lance Archer, like, they're good talents, but like, I'm saying, if they don't treat them well, they might leave. Like, they might leave. It's entirely possible that they want more TV time and they wouldn't leave. And that's not going to hurt AEW, because if you have to choose, Bryan Danielson over what, like, you choose Bryan Danielson. That's of course.
Exactly.
But it's a little odd that they have this roster and they can't really use all of them. It's a little odd. Like, it's I'm not saying it's a negative, because they let them work outside the company. Like, they let them have indie dates. So, like, they're still making money. So I think that's perfectly fine. It's a little odd. And I think that's what people get hung up on, that, oh, you have all these guys and they're not on TV, but like, it's not like they're just sitting at home doing nothing.
Yeah, it's not what WCW did.
Right. Like, they're allowing them to go out and do whatever. And if Tony Khan's spending extra money on it, like, that's basically only for Tony Khan to care about. Like, I don't have to care about that.
That does not affect my day in one little bit.
But speaking of dark and elevation, we had a person on Twitter who sent us some pretty cool stuff.
Yes, DJ Shade, friend of the show, DJ Shade. He had a little fantasy booking. And he even made the graphics. We're gonna shout that out too. That was badass.
Yeah, we'll retweet them later. It's really cool.
Yes, they're really cool. And he just wanted our thoughts to know where you would put him and what you would think of the matches. He had Hikaru Shida versus Janai Kai. Which, have you ever seen her?
No, I haven't seen her. I wasn't sure who she was.
She has wrestled. Look her up after we're done here. She wrestles for I forget what Thunder Rosa's company's name is. It's based out of Texas. Whatever Thunder's company is, it's an all women's company, but she wrestles there, and she has to be a high black belt in some sort of martial arts, because she throws kicks that look deadly. I mean, she's the real deal. And I think her and Sheeta would actually work very well together. Um, I wouldn't even, to me, I wouldn't even put that on Dark Elevation. To me, that's a Dynamite or Rampage. Janai is that good, and if you put her with somebody that good with Sheeta, they'd blow the roof off the place.
Nice. Yeah, I don't know anything about her, but sounds good.
Oh yeah, look her up, dude. Like she's the real deal. Now, we've kind of shit on him a lot. Excuse my language here, but Brian Cage versus Tony Nese. I honestly, like, again, I'm not gonna put over Brian Cage here. Not that I dislike him, but I don't think he's good enough to be in the ring with Tony Nese. No disrespect, because I could never. But Tony Nese needs to be there with somebody that's not a big brawler.
Right. Yeah, and like, I don't know who would go over in that match.
That's what I was just gonna say too. Like, you would almost have to say Tony Nese, because, I mean, what was again, no disrespect to Brian Cage, but I just don't see him doing well against Tony Nese.
Yeah.
You know who I'd like to see Brian Cage with? Our boy JD Drake.
Oh yeah, I like JD. Yeah, that would be a good match.
Because they could just brawl. Like, yeah. And that's where Brian Cage, that's where he excels, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
But hey, maybe Brian Cage is a good wrestler, and I don't know, and he would work insanely well with Tony Nese. But that would be a little shaky on my fantasy booking. But hey, whatevs.
He did a couple other ones that seemed intriguing to me. Swerve and Keith Lee against Bear Country, or whatever Bear Country is called now. I don't think they're Bear Country anymore.
Iron something.
Yeah, but that would be cool. I would like that. Obviously, Swerve and Keith Lee are going over, but it would be Keith Lee loves to throw people around. I would like to see him, if he could throw the guys in Bear Country around. I think that would be cool. I would like that. His other option, which I thought was intriguing, was Abaddon against Julia Hart, which I think would be fun.
Oh, wow. That'd be sick.
Another choice, Matt Sydal and Frankie Kazarian. Yeah, I could see that. I'm surprised that hasn't happened, actually. Maybe it has.
Yeah, that
would work.
That would be fantastic.
Athena Diamante. That would be cool. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
That'd be a cool match. And his last two, Parker Boudreaux and Lance Archer. What do you think of that?
Let's go.
I would like that.
That's a good one too.
That was the one that really stood out to me I'm calling him he, but I don't actually know. When they sent it to me, that seemed like a cool option. Parker Boudreaux and Lance Archer seemed really cool. And then the final women's option, Nyla Rose and Jamie Hayter.
Oh yeah, all day, give me that one.
So yeah, I think they're all other than the Brian Cage one, which you're right. No offense to Brian Cage.
Yeah, I would have put him with someone else.
I would have put both of them with somebody else, because their styles seemed like they wouldn't go that well together.
Yes. Now I want to see Lance Archer and Parker Boudreaux.
Yeah, that would be cool. I want to see it too. I just generally want to see more from Lance Archer. I think he should be doing. Maybe he has commitments in Japan. Like, I feel like he's not available for all the shows, so that explains why he's not on all the shows. But
yeah, he's part of Suzuki Gun or whatever it's called.
Yep.
That Minoru Suzuki's group. And I know they're like, well, they're not as big as the Bullet Club, but they're like the second biggest faction in New Japan. So he probably has a lot of commitments over there, even if it's just to be like a hype man.
Right. But yeah, thanks for the match graphics. That was cool. That was fun. That was
really cool. That was a lot
really
of fun.
Yes, if anyone else has anything they want us to talk about, we're at Elite City Pod on Twitter.
Let's go. And we've been asking people to be on the show. I haven't had much success, but we've been asking. I will say Matt Menard turned us down in the coolest way possible. I just had this nice little write-up, said, we're a growing podcast, and would you like to be a guest? I sent him the link, and he must have been on his phone when he got it, because like 8 seconds after I sent it, I just get the response, probably not. It was so good.
Good answer.
Not. Love it. Great. In character. It was wonderful. So yes, thank you, Matt Minori. Um, but again, if you would like to send us questions or fantasy bookings, send them at Elite City Pod on Twitter.
Yes, if you want to complain about, debate what we have to say. If you disagree with us, you don't have to agree with us. You can disagree with us. We're just two guys. We don't know any more than you. So go for it.
Dudes that have watched wrestling for many years.
That's right.
That's our only credentials. We watch a lot of television.
That's right.
Yeah, and if you can get over the Simpsons references and the off-kilter hockey talk, then here's the show for you.
There you go.
But yeah, so anyways, 8:00, we enter the new year of AEW, year 3. Unreal.
Year 3 is, first of all, it's unbelievable that they're at 3 years already, but also it's only been 3 years, and look at everything that's happened.
Yeah, I was thinking that. I remember like being so excited the whole first day for this new thing, AEW, blah blah blah, which also seems like it was like 35 years ago, not just
it's simultaneously like last week and 10 years ago. Yeah.
And I would have, if there was a time machine and I was able to jump in it and tell myself like, hey, in 3 years, CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, Swerve, Keith Lee, and all these other people they're going to be at this company, I would have told you, go to him, because you're the worst liar ever.
Yeah, like if someone had said before, like, oh, that's going to be the 3-year anniversary of Dynamite, and Bryan Danielson's on it, and but Cody's not, because he's in WWE.
Yes. Yeah.
You'd be like, what happened? Did they trade rosters? Like, what's going on?
Yes. Don't forget to stay up late. You get an extra 15 minutes.
That's right.
We're picking up more listeners. So welcome, new people. We just, I think we're up to like 32 states. We just picked up more people in Canada. I forget where. I apologize, fellow Canadians. I'm trying to think of it, and I can't think of where it's at.
It's all just Canada. It's all just one big place.
It's gigantic.
It's like when any wrestler comes to Canada, they're like, well, he's from Canada. I'm like, yeah, but he's from like Vancouver, and this show's in Nova Scotia. They're on the opposite sides of the country.
Yes. and like, to me, it's all the same place.
Right. But to me, it's like, yeah, they grew up nowhere near this place.
Yeah. And people also forget, like, Canada, like, also goes way north.
Right. It's cold.
And very cold, which that I wish I love the cold. Anyways, thank you for listening, and keep listening. And if I offended you, fellow Canadian, because I forgot where you were from, I apologize. But yes, keep spreading the word. And again, thank you for everything. At Elite City Pod on Twitter. And until next week, first off, happy anniversary. And that was the week that was. Later.